Uh, yeah, so there were a bunch of trade relation deals going on recently. There were four: Bahrain, the EU, now Morocco. What was the other one?
UAE,
Yeah, there was the UAE, Bahrain. Oh, Sudan.
Sudan. Then
Forgot Sudan did anything.
no, not very important.
No. I don't know. It's just weird. It's like the end of a presidency and there's still things happening.
Yeah. Well, Israel's main enemy, and it's been this way for years now, is really Iran. It's a
Yeah.
political threat. It is a military threat. It is a religious threat. And Israel realizes that they can ally with these Sunni Arab nations that will oppose Iran's, radical influence and its Shiite uh,
Yeah.
and its Shiite
They're inf-
rulers.
so what do
They're
you so what do you do with them? Like what do you do with Iran? Like
well,
how do you work around
it
that? I mean
sounds, it
they're
sounds like sanctions have like largely crippled their economy, but they're
yeah.
still an essential threat to the region. And Israel has every um, incentive to try and weaken it as much as they can because they're a real enemy.
So it's funny. Like they are a real enemy and they're like the most prominent threat to Israel. And there were some talks that I heard of Biden wanting to rejoin the Iran nuclear deal. Is that is that could be bad for Israel?
Uh, probably,
Probably.
probably. Um, you know, the current policy seems to be working quite well. The U.S. is just completely, cutting off Iran from any commerce with the Western world, and
Yeah,
they're really hurting.
they kind of only have to deal with Russia. Like they can only really do trades with Russia and then the Middle East.
Exactly, and they're starting to lose some of their support within the Middle East.
Oh yeah,
So,
with all these countries now joining Israel, I mean, I don't think they can play both sides
right,
anymore.
you can't. It's really just themselves, Russia, and a few other Middle Eastern nations, but they've got no help from the. They're just so isolated from the capitalist world, and
They
you
are.
can't function as a society like that. I mean, no one's buying their oil, their products, their exports. They're just
Yeah, it's
struggling.
terrible. But
Yeah,
third world countries, natural resources. Jeez.
yeah.
Like it used to be all about oil and natural resources and just like destroying people to get their stuff. Now it's just we just hate you and we're just gonna fight you just to fight you.
Right, because we've got plenty of oil in Texas.
Yeah, we have like do you think America needs to have their military so large anymore? Like
It's a good question.
we don't have a clear threat like we did in Vietnam. We don't have a clear threat like World War II. Like we don't have Japanese bombing Pearl Harbor. There's no one really
Yeah,
there right now, and yet we have $270 billion a year going to the military.
I believe it's even more than that. It could be somewhere upwards of like 700 billion. It's, I believe, a third of our annual budget. It's a ridiculous amount compared to any other country. Like, I believe the next highest country is like Russia at like 80 billion. We're like almost 10 times as spent. We're doing like 10 times as much spending as they are, and we're not in any active wars right now. Really,
Yeah,
we
where
perform
does that
missions here and there. We're not
and
we're not fighting like a large scale conflict like we were in World War II.
yeah, no, we're not fighting. Like where's that money go? Boom, vanish, gone.
Yeah, I mean, the U.S. does have an obligation to be a big brother, let's call it that,
Yeah,
towards other Western nations.
it
But
started out
I
as like
believe
the
there's
United States of America turned into the United Empire of the world. It's just like it
it,
has pieces stationed everywhere.
it does. We're everywhere. We're like an octopus. Um, there's definitely room to trim the U.S. military budget. Um,
Yeah.
and a lot of that money could be better directed um, towards other domestic services.
Yeah, I
But
mean, all
one strategy
taxes.
I'm really fond of is I believe diplomacy can solve most of the U.S.'s problems. But this reminds me of a quote that Teddy Roosevelt once shared: "Speak softly, carry a big stick." So we have to make sure we have a big stick. So
Ah.
we can't make the budget too small.
Yeah, we can't make it too small. But I know nothing about the military and how much it actually takes to make a functioning like worldwide number one military. So like, how much do you think it costs
Yeah.
to accurately run the American military? Like that is a lot. We're probably like I heard this guy Tim Kennedy. He was on he's a Green Beret. He went on this podcast with Jocko Willink, a Navy SEAL, and he was talking about how they could like a group of like 12 Green Berets could infiltrate Venezuela, flip the government, and turn the whole entire community upside down. I was like, Jesus, America, that's 12 people, and we have like a million soldiers, 400,000 overseas.
Well,
What are we doing? What are we doing?
yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of the budget goes towards providing aid, military aid to other nations, and it's something that's very controversial. Because Trump has been promoting his America First agenda,
Yeah.
and it is not necessarily popular right now to spend billions of dollars, doing the work that other countries should, in theory, be doing themselves. But again, the United States has, you know, they are really operating within their own interests when they do this. They're building up other nations that they see as allies, strategic partners,
Yeah, yeah,
big
they're
markets.
going with there to get a return on their investment. It's not like they're going
Exactly.
anywhere just to help out.
Investment. It's not a donation. It's an investment.
Yeah.
Or
America's not that much of a nice guy.
yeah, it's at least a tax deductible donation. Like that's at least that's
For sure.
bare minimum.
High interest, extremely high interest, will cripple your country, but you'll be in debt to Uncle Sam. So,
Yeah, they're getting their money's worth. That's for sure.
I heard Israel just bought a whole ton of vaccines from Moderna. I
Yeah.
believe so. How's that gonna work? Is everyone just gonna line up, get a bunch of shots?
You'd be dreaming.
Yeah, no,
Um,
it's gonna take till like April, right? They have batches with like health workers, frontline workers, and then the
yeah,
elderly.
it looks like the developed world is trying to stage its distribution of the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines.
Yeah.
That's largely due to the fact that we don't have a necessary quantity available right now, but also because there are certain people with a more urgent need to get vaccinated immediately. People with high risk conditions, healthcare workers, essential workers,
Yeah,
all these people.
it's like
But
bracketed by
I
every
believe,
20 years.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I believe, and I think there is a growing sentiment across the world right now that a significant chunk of the population will be very hard to vaccinate because they just won't want to comply with,
Yeah, that's gonna be
public
weird.
health.
It's like, all right, well, what do you do with them? Like especially in America, it's a free country. They
Yeah,
don't
I mean,
have to
it's
make you get
great.
one.
It's a great constitutional dilemma if the government can mandate that people must be vaccinated. I mean,
That's gonna be a
that
tough
that
court
would be
case.
correct. Yeah, I don't think
I don't
that can
think they'll.
be
Yeah, I don't think
proven in
they're
court.
gonna be able to pull it off.
Right.
No
If
way.
you can't make mask mandates
Yeah,
nationwide, can't force people to
to
take
get
a shot,
vaccination that could affect health in any
could
way.
have lifetime side effects.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't wear a piece of cloth over your face and your
So
nose.
so what's the difference gonna be between? Well, So you're in a public forum, right? Restaurants reopen again. You have the vaccination, but some people who are going to the restaurant don't have the vaccination. So they could still be carrying the virus. Would that make a difference if everyone else is vaccinated?
Good question. I think there are 2 points that are relevant to this question. First is that, um, in truth, if someone doesn't want to get vaccinated, it's really their problem because if other people are vaccinated, they're not going to be susceptible to this person who was not vaccinated because
Yeah.
they are already vaccinated themselves. So by not getting vaccinated, you are only hurting yourself, and other people will be immune from your particles, really, because they're vaccinated.
Yeah.
The second point is that the hope is that enough of the population will be vaccinated so that we will attain herd immunity. And herd immunity will eventually, it'll take
Yeah.
time, but the virus will just have no more people to infect.
Yeah, it'll
And it'll
slowly just
slowly,
die down. Either you would have already had it, you'll be immune from it, or it'll just dwindle out.
right. So I don't think restaurants or bars or movie theaters or schools even, uh, maybe schools because they're, there's a lot needed to reopen them, but
So did you
I
hear
don't
what
think it will require proof of vaccination because at a certain point, if you don't get vaccinated, it's just on you.
yeah, no, schools will definitely require it. They require vaccinations now.
Right.
They'll definitely require to go to UCLA, even though it's online. I think you have to get certain flu vaccinations.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's not even COVID. They're definitely gonna have that for next year.
Right. And that's, even if you're living off campus.
Yeah. So what did you hear about Governor Cuomo of New York? He said that he wasn't going to mandate the city get vaccinations, and he kind of said he's not going to trust the vaccinations until he has a personal team of scientists do their own independent research and back up if it's safe.
I did not hear this.
Yeah, it was in a press conference. It was just weird because it makes more people worried about a vaccination. Now,
Right.
like, okay. I mean, you can
Yeah.
go both ways. You can say, well, maybe it's not going to be tested properly. Maybe they should have their own team. But I mean, if the United Nations and the whole entire world are mass ordering it, and your one state is like, no, 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 we're going to double check the double check. It's just weird. It's like, why?
Yeah. So I was doing some research and it looks like as of November, so obviously things change, every day with public sentiment, but
Yeah.
60% of the population said they are, willing to take the vaccine. So they're pretty comfortable with it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
20%,
I saw something like that.
20% says that they won't be taking the vaccine. And some of those people said under any circumstances. So that poses
What
a health challenge
was
for
that broken up by
the
age
world.
too? I want to see what generation that is the ones that said that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's also broken up by age.
Yeah. Because I think the younger generations are,
I think young people
I think they're more
less
likely to
likely.
get, you think they're less likely?
I think so. I think there are two factors at play. One is that young people tend to be more educated and trustworthy of science, but also older people have more at stake,
Yeah.
and their lives are potentially in danger. So they have more of a direct incentive to take the vaccine, but they might trust it less.
Yeah. I think if you're young and you already had it and you got over it, I mean,
Yeah.
vaccination,
What's the point?
it's a point.
Yeah.
Especially if it's not 100, like if it sounds a little bit sketchy and you're still unsure, who cares?
Yeah. I mean, no one no one wants to get shots or vaccinated.
No.
Like it's not a pleasant experience or it's not a pleasant thought either. But you know, it's necessary for the welfare of the general public, as is social distancing. I mean,
Yeah,
a lot of have no, you know, they're if they get COVID, they're not going to be, in the hospital or, they could not even know they had it. But, a lot of the reason for these lockdowns is to protect, the general public.
Yeah,
It's
you
not
think
about the
there's
individual.
it's gonna be so funny because it's slowly over the next year, 2 years, it's gonna dwindle out. Like by April, I think 45-year-olds in like Britain, I don't know why it's in Britain that I'm seeing these studies. I think they're the first country. They were the first country to sign with Pfizer and Moderna for like.
And to approve the vaccine for emergency use.
Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard a couple people already got the vaccine.
Yes.
The first one
Yes.
was like a 96-year-old woman, something like
Yes.
that. Yeah.
That must be crazy.
So I think like by May time, everything's gonna slowly start coming back together as if it were like 2019 because most people would be vaccinated. Then it would just be, the general public under 45 years old paying for it themselves. And social distancing would probably still be in effect in some places.
Right.
But wow, it's almost it's coming to an end.
I
Oh,
know.
I'm gonna miss it.
You miss it?
I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna miss staying inside for a whole year. It's gonna be weird. Like school again. That's just so far fetched.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder how much, people will have changed from being locked down for 9 months now. A lot of people,
Probably a bit, just a bit.
they've lived such different lives for such a long time. And, they're not going to emerge from quarantine and the lockdowns as the same people they were when they entered.
Yeah,
That's
no.
for sure.
I think liquor at the end. I think at the beginning of the next year and at the like it's going to start skyrocketing when people start going back to bars, people start having gatherings. Like
Right.
the liquor business, the beer increased their revenue a lot this year, but I think the champagne business overall lost $2 billion because there weren't any celebrations.
No celebrations.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they couldn't get together to celebrate. Champagne's looking at beer like, God damn it.
Right. I mean,
They're close. Close.
there really is light at the end of the tunnel. And I think that, people will be very, happy to return to normal. They will throw parties. They will
Yeah.
gather as they
But
deserve to. This
yeah,
has
but
been a very, very rough stretch. And I'm probably understating it for
yeah,
humanity.
yeah, especially coming up at the end of 2020, there's supposed to be 40 million people getting evicted in America from their
Wow.
houses because I think it was the Supreme Court said that you can't be evicted because of not being able to pay your rent during this pandemic.
Yes.
But that ends at the end of 2020. But it's not like everything's reopening at the end of 2020. It's like there's like
Right.
definitely like with they expect the Christmas season to be even worse than Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving was the highest numbers yet in America, the highest yet, and that was like 2 weeks ago. Like
Right.
we're 9 months in, and now we're reaching the highest points. Like damn, I thought
Yeah.
we got over that in April.
No, we're tired.
I
No
know
one
we're sick of it.
no
We're
one
like
wants to hear the word social distancing anymore. No
we're like
one
yeah, we're like fuck it. Okay, if we die, we die.
burned
We're
out from
going out.
all of the lockdowns and all the measures, everything.
Yeah. Well,
Even the most even the
after
most
9 months.
hopeful people in the beginning are now,
Yeah.
starting to get more lax.
I mean, after 9 months, if nothing's changed and your numbers are still rising, you're like, something's a lie. Something's not right here. We've been listening.
Right. Right. And a lot of people who have been listening are getting, all it takes is just a few people to not listen, and there's a snowball effect. People just say,
Yeah.
"What's the point? Why should I follow the rules if
Yeah.
my neighbors aren't?
Like
If my coworkers aren't?"
if you go to a popular street and there's a lockdown in California, I think there's a curfew still like 10 p.m. If you go to a
Yeah.
popular street like Rodeo where there's restaurants and one restaurant's open past 10, oh damn, they're scandalous. They're open past curfew. Well, the other restaurants are like, well, we want to make money too. they'll all
Right.
stay open. And now the cops aren't going to go out to the general public, rip them from restaurants, and send them home.
Right.
It's
The
it's not worth
cops
their
are
time.
not, yeah, they've said time and time again that they're not eager to enforce these rules.
Yeah, that's
They're
why
relying on
they,
voluntary compliance.
that's why they didn't even send out a text this time. Last time at the beginning of April or May, whenever the lockdown was, they sent a text to your phone, or they might have done it this time. At least I didn't get one. They're like less serious about it. It's like almost a joke. They're like, lockdown, lockdown. Then Newsom goes to a party. He's like, whoa, whoa, I meant it. I meant it. Relax.
Yeah. It's all a cycle,
Yeah, it's all a scam.
pretty
When it's
much.
when it's done, it'll be done. That was the latest sentence. So, wow, it's just weird. It's like humanity changed, and now it has to kind of reverse itself, but it's already moved past it.
Right.
Like we've already, like people have adapted to new life in this, and like figured out their own means of how to live, whatever that
Yeah.
may be. Some people
Yeah.
haven't,
Yeah. I mean,
unfortunately.
the world has changed so much in 2020 that 2021 is going to look more like 2022 than 2019. Let's just say that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and, you know, we are not going to go back to completely normal ever, but we will go back to a semi-normal society gradually. That's almost certain.
So when do you
Um,
think the masks are gonna stop? When's that? The masks. That's everyone wants to know when's that gonna stop. That's gonna be like in April. You can finally go back to a movie theater. You look around, you take it off. No one gets mad. Wow.
um, I think we'll need masks probably through the summer. I think the pandemic will be completely over, at least from a public health perspective, by next fall. There
Yeah,
will be
yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree.
concerts, sports games, large gatherings, but until then, they'll need some restrictions,
Yeah.
but nothing very severe at all. Schools will be open, business will be open, but you can't you can't go from 0 to 100 just because of a vaccine.
Yeah.
The
I
vaccine
mean,
will.
online school probably helped a lot of people out, but it really sucks for a lot of other people who it just is terrible. It's like it does not induce any learning, but you can get a lot done.
No, the country really failed its children during the pandemic.
Oh, for sure.
There's a lot
It's
of focus on the elderly, and rightfully so because they're the most at risk. And then we had a whole, pardon me, this is very insensitive, but we 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 gave the spotlight to the minority communities who have been suffering for so long, and this is all much needed, but we've neglected children, who are not being given the usual attention that they require. I mean,
it's
they're
not even
children.
it's not even usual attention. Like in the education system, it went from bad to unbelievably worse.
Yeah.
Like granted, there was not a lot they could do. Like there really wasn't. Like governors and mayors made it extremely hard for anything to happen. But it's like a lack of strictness with the students. Like in public schools, you don't have to turn your camera on. You don't have to do anything. In college, you don't have to do anything. Like you don't even have classes. There's no class. Like my whole entire schedule is just open. I just have homework. I don't meet a teacher the whole semester.
Wow. Wow.
That's crazy. Imagine you had a whole year of school. You didn't do anything. Just sat doing the same thing every day.
You're right. And kids need you know academic nurturing, social nurturing. They need to be in warm, supportive environments. And being at home on your computer is hard for the kids, but also their parents. And you can imagine how much money's been lost in revenue from an economic standpoint, due to
Oh
you know,
yeah, yeah,
this adjustment. People are just stuck at home in school, and it's very taxing on our kids.
yeah. Especially um, like late high school or any transition period that just got like cut in half by this whole pandemic really
Yeah,
sucks because there's already people who don't really know what they're doing, just getting a curveball thrown at them and then just being completely sideways, just not knowing anything.
right, right. Yeah, it's a very difficult time to be um, to already be in like a state of limbo. If you don't really know what you want to do with your life, and then you throw a pandemic into the mix,
I
you know,
mean,
that's
it gives
that's
you
a
a lot of
recipe for
time to think.
disaster.
Gives you a lot of time to think about what you want to do.
Maybe too much time to think about it.
I know it's like you just start looking at everything. You're like, oh my God, I have so much time. I can do anything.
Right, but seemingly few opportunities. There's
Yeah, that's
there's
true.
not really much going on right now. The world is shutting down. It'll wake up soon, but it's shutting down.
It's quiet, it's nice, but there's still traffic. Like, damn it, LA. You still have
Yeah,
traffic.
yeah. There will always be traffic in LA.
It's a miracle. It really is.
Two things in life are inevitable: taxes and traffic in LA.
Yeah, it's awful. At least the president hasn't come in a while. That really stirs things up. Stops 1 out of 2 freeways for 10 million people.
Yeah,
Really throws a doozy in the day.
yeah. But um, you know, we've learned a lot about the virus since the first wave lockdowns. We know more how it spreads. You know, who's the most vulnerable. We've learned about it. We didn't really know anything back then, and nowadays we still don't know a lot, but we know more than we used to. And you know, a lot of people criticized. When Bill De Blasio, for example, closed New York schools, I believe last month.
Uh-huh.
They criticized it on the basis that schools don't really facilitate the spread of coronavirus.
Yeah.
It's a pretty low risk activity going to school, you know, and this has really raised a lot of questions, about the government's judgment, and I guess more generally, I mean, just like priorities. Who's more important? Should a school be closed but a restaurant open, or vice versa? Who's the government catering to?
Yeah, it's like who are you to say what's essential? It's like you
Right.
can't it's either everything or nothing. Like
Yeah.
a lot of middle America, they they like the idea of small businesses. They hate corporate America. Everyone's on board with that. America says, yeah, we support small businesses. We don't like corporate America. Everyone wants to tax the rich. It's like all this new progressive stuff. Then there's a whole lockdown. Small businesses closed. Only people getting money, billionaires in corporate America. It's like, wow, you fucked yourself.
It's true.
Like you, you did what
It's
you said you
true.
didn't want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, the Supreme Court just ruled that religious institutions can remain open during the pandemic.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
First Amendment comes in handy. Right to peaceful assembly. Apparently, the Constitution still remains. Got that down.
apparently. But yeah, a lot of there's a there's a lot of needs on the table, and
Yeah,
the government is very poor at addressing
managing money.
needs, and making society work for everyone in a
Yeah,
balanced way.
government's really poor at functioning. It's just the basis of it.
Yeah,
It's like
that's that's what Steve.
It's like a Lego set that's been sanded down so none of the pieces connect.
So,
It's like trying to build a house with it. It's like it could work, but it's going to fall
yeah,
apart.
yeah, and if you look at some of the works of our founding fathers, even the ones who were the most um, liberal in terms of welcoming, a big government out of necessity, still warned about the dangers of bureaucracy. I mean, there
Yeah,
was
like
there was no there was no sentiment back then that like a big government was like a good thing. No.
yeah, even Hamilton. wanted a federal banking system. He was kind of the most centralized government guy out there.
He was.
Even he was like, it's kind of scary, but let's put it on the table.
Yeah.
But now, wow, it's just like everyone's playing with each other's lives for money.
Right. Yeah.
How are
I
like
guess
how are third world countries or anywhere except for Western civilization
dealing
dealing
with
with
this.
this? Yeah. Like do they have contracts? What are they doing?
Um, for the most part, third world countries are being left in the dust with regard to vaccine talks. I mean, they're low
Shit.
priority to begin with. They
Yeah,
also can't
because they don't
afford
have
to
money.
buy the
Money buys.
vaccine,
Yeah.
and they can't afford to. So, you know, that's really terrible for all of these countries. And they'll get the vaccine eventually, but
Oh,
they
but it's gonna be some like slave trade deal. Like it's gonna be like America will sell it to them on the black market for all their natural resources of their country and like all their taxes in perpetuity for their lives. And
yeah,
America will
it's
be like, look, we
so
helped.
I wasn't surprised.
It's gonna be terrible. I feel bad. Not really,
Yeah,
but like kinda.
yeah. I mean,
Wow. Being born in America, that is like you just lucked out.
you really did.
Like you did nothing and you made it.
Yeah. For all the criticism that America gets from Americans and the world itself, you
Yeah.
know, America is a special country.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean,
you don't have to love it, but you got to
it's
appreciate how different it is from the rest of the world.
it's like a really good running business that you could make money if you put your time in.
Yeah, America actually has opportunity.
I know, it's
And
kind of weird.
yeah, I mean, you can go to a country like Switzerland, and the standards of living are probably a little bit better there for most people, at least. But it is so hard to make it big there
Oh, make
because they have
it big,
a rigid social and economic structure. You just can't.
but it's also their cultures are different. Make it big. It's like we don't need to. We're happy the way we are. We're happy
Back.
with living.
Yeah, they
The
don't
American culture's like, no,
work
we're
hard.
gonna hustle and make it.
They take vacations. We work hard because that's ingrained in our culture. The Protestant work ethic. And the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah,
These are hallmarks
innovation.
of
Innovation really drives
innovation.
this country.
Absolutely.
Really kind of drives the world.
Yeah.
Wow.
U.S. has always been the world's most premier innovator. For all of its history, really. You know, and I mean, look, the world is going to be vaccinated very soon with an American vaccine. I mean, look at that.
Wow, America.
Yeah.
Are we gonna sell the vaccine to China or are we just gonna put put sanctions on them? Say no, it's your fault.
I don't know. It's a good question, actually. I mean,
Like are
I
we
don't think
gonna
China should not be given priority for a vaccine because, you know,
like it's like that bad kid in the classroom that has to wait inside while everyone else goes to recess.
yeah, that's what it is. Exactly what it is. Um,
China has to stay behind.
yeah, maybe they'll also underreport their vaccine distribution totals just for
I
fun.
mean, they'll probably come out with a report that says they bought 10 million units and they probably bought like 100 for all the top officials. They're like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's it.
yeah, something like that.
They just like watch people die. They're like, finally, some population control in here.
Yeah, it's kind of remarkable that China has what, like 1.3 billion people,
Yeah.
and they haven't had a large scale outbreak yet. I mean, they had Wuhan, but yeah, they
When
locked it down.
they had Wuhan in January, that was it.
Yeah, they locked it down. You know, they they suffered, but they spared the.
I mean, I guess I really know nothing that comes from China, and I trust like nothing that they say. But hey, if they're living, they're living.
Okay.
I mean, if China's living, they're living, but maybe they did have a big outbreak that no one heard about that they just didn't report, and like they lost like
Yeah,
a hundred
there
thousand
were
people.
actually,
We would never know.
yeah, there were actually some leaked files that I think CNN got a hold of, and China did underreport their numbers, by a substantial margin, but it was not like the widespread devastation that was speculated.
Oh, really? China, classic.
Yeah, I think China reported like 2,500 deaths in Wuhan in the first wave, and the real number was like 10,000 or 20,000. Not terrible for Chinese standards.
No, not terrible. They're off by like 1-0.
Yeah, I mean they speak in terms of millions there, so it doesn't really matter to them.
Yeah. Like what? We lost nothing. That's it. Gone.
Yeah, yeah,
Poof.
yeah.
Did you hear that Hunter Biden is under investigation by the FBI for federal tax fraud?
I did.
That's kind of crazy because it's definitely not just him, it's the whole family.
Yeah,
I mean, if
but
you got one of them that
it's
next.
not like we haven't had a president's son being
Oh, I know.
investigated.
I mean, like they're gonna go after a president or some high official and charge them with corruption. Like, is that supposed to shock you? Like,
I think the message is important though. Is
oh
that
yeah, the message is
no
important.
one is above the law. Even someone who is now, his father's president-elect now, and
Yeah,
he's
pretty
dealing
much.
with, one of the most difficult situations, the nation has ever faced, probably. Pandemic, economic crisis,
I
you
mean,
know,
the
all
pandemic
these
has a vaccine,
racial issues,
but
all of
yeah,
these, tremendous, societal movements, and his son is being investigated for tax fraud. Not such a big deal,
not
but
such a big deal.
it's important, in a democracy that there is liberty and justice for all, and no one is given preferential treatment in our legal system, and that's important to know. That's a very salient American principle.
So what happens if the Constitution just doesn't exist and doesn't protect us anymore? Like, what happens?
Well,
Does
the
the world slowly start to
Constitution
deteriorate?
was designed uh, to be able to protect itself and the U.S. in a time of a constitutional crisis. It's a living, breathing document. It allows a lot of room for interpretation, while at the same time providing a very solid and monolithic um, structure. You have the articles, which outline how the government ought to be you know constructed, and then you have the amendments that detail certain rights that are basically inalienable, and then you have the elasticity clause, which lets you do whatever you want pretty much if your courts are packed.
Yep. I mean, what do you think about that packing the courts? I think it's pretty stupid.
It's
It's
very
just it's just gonna go into a cycle every 2 years or every time there's a new
terrible precedent.
it you pack it with seven. Next thing you know, there's gonna be 3,000. There's gonna be 3,000 Supreme Court members within 80 years. It's
Right.
gonna be ridiculous. Like, what? Where would it stop?
Yeah, it wouldn't stop. That's the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then they're just gonna tax us and build a new building.
Yeah, I feel like in 2020, and I guess this is like a more recent development, but people are just not afraid to cross the line anymore.
Nah,
Like
they're not.
the
Yeah,
the line always being pushed back a little bit further.
yeah.
Like
I
you
mean,
might say, okay, Trump might question the validity of the election results, but once he has his day in court, he will concede. No, no, they are just reinvigorating their election efforts now. There just seems to be no limit to what people are willing to do
well,
to.
actually, there's a. I don't know. I hear a lot of. I follow both like really right wing Instagram pages and really left wing. So I don't know. I see the exact opposites. I don't know what the hell's right.
Yeah.
They're saying that they have a lot of headway. Trump and his team have a lot of headway, and they have 17 open court cases right now. And then the state of Texas just filed a lawsuit against what they file a lawsuit against.
Against 4 states.
Oh
They're
yeah,
trying
yeah,
to block
against
certification.
the swing states. Yeah.
Right. Right.
What do you think
Yeah.
about that? That's a whole nother state.
That is unprecedented in
And
one
oh,
word.
100 U.S. Republican House representatives backed it.
Yeah.
That's that's a fourth almost. It's almost a fourth. It's a
Yeah.
lot. It's a lot.
Almost fourth. I think most, Republicans at least, have come to terms with the with Biden's victory, but they've done it privately. They're not going to speak out about it publicly because that would be political suicide. Because
I'm just yeah, yeah, no, I agree. Yeah,
Trump is the
like
face of the GOP.
yeah, like Mitch McConnell, he's just kind of distancing himself, but
Yeah.
I mean, for me at
But
least, I'm waiting. I like watching this whole election thing. I like
yeah,
watching the courts. I want to see what they do. I want to see what they decide because it's
yeah. I
gonna
mean,
like if I really don't think it could happen. But in some world, like in some universe out there, the Supreme Court flips it and Trump wins. Oh wow,
yeah.
that
I'm not
causes
so
riots for hours and days and
I'm
days.
not so bothered by Trump's escapade. I mean, I
Yeah,
think from a legal perspective, it's definitely challenging. But I don't go to bed at night thinking, okay, what if Biden's not actually the next president?
yeah, yeah. No, I agree. You know what I'm happy about though? With the
What?
2016 election and after that, when they said Russian collusion and they pushed in every media news channel for like 3 years,
Right.
like there was no court hearings, there was no proceedings, there was nothing. It was
There
just
were
it was
there were
just so slow. It was such a slow process.
there
Three
were there
years
were some
dragged
hearings,
on.
but yeah, it wasn't very
There
slow
there
or
were there
inefficient.
were there were two congressional hearings. Like one was an impeachment hearing. It was just monotonous and it was
You're
just
right.
nothing of substance. Right
Right.
now, right now it's kind of different. I think this is a very straight legal process. Like you really can't say anything about it. It's either like the courts decide. Like let's see what
Right.
happens. It's either
Yeah.
they're right or they're wrong.
Right. I mean, you should know that the Supreme Court has, said it very clearly that it will do whatever it can to refrain from weighing in on electoral matters
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah. There
the jurisdiction of the states.
so
And
what happened in 2000 Bush and Gore.
yes,
Yeah.
2000.
So in Florida was the big issue. There was one county where there was a difference of only a couple hundred votes, so they went to the Supreme Court in Florida, and the Supreme Court determined that if they have till a certain date. It was like December. It was November 30th to come up with some evidence. They didn't, and it falls short. Trump only has like 5 more days. Like it's December 15th or
Yes,
14th.
until Monday, the
He
14th.
has until Monday.
Yeah,
Wow, a lot of headway has to happen in the next couple days.
right. No kidding.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but who knows what happens next? I mean, I guess after December 14th, and we've been saying this before, but it's almost certain that Joe Biden will be sworn in on January 20th. You
Yeah,
know,
it's true. It's true. I
yeah.
mean, it's kind of when do you think Kamala's going to be sworn in? I'm thinking like March. I'm giving it to March. I say they get rid of Biden so
So
quick.
they move over.
I say they're gonna get Biden in. They're gonna be like, we got him in. They're gonna give him a month. Then they're gonna say this is an incompetent fuck, and then they're gonna be like, yay, first black woman, Kamala, happy. That would be so funny.
Interesting perspective, to say the least.
It would be so funny because not only like everyone would be pissed off, all of America would just be like, God, what the hell? Like,
Yeah,
you screwed us.
yeah. I think Biden's gonna be a one-term president. I mean, he said it
Yeah.
himself,
I don't think
but
he can last till a
Kamala
second term.
Harris is definitely the front runner for the 2024 elections. But
Really?
I was going to say earlier that
She's the front runner?
for the Democratic nominee,
What about AOC? She's gonna be eligible.
she's eligible for dictatorship.
I don't know. The DNC really likes that kind of thing.
They really do.
They really do.
Um,
They hate Bernie and they hate Tulsi, and that's like their
that they
best
do.
bet.
Right.
Like,
But okay, that's a whole other thing. But I was going to say that this whole this moment is very tough for people like Mike Pence and Nikki Haley because they have presidential aspirations of their own,
yeah.
and they have to walk a very delicate tightrope, not to piss off Trump and his supporters, but they can't espouse this nonsense and have a claim to be elected in 4 years. You
Ah,
can't associate with it. And
I mean,
Trump
yeah.
Trump's not so eager to give up power. So what if he runs in 2024 too? I mean, they're
Oh
gonna get
no,
lost.
Trump. I think if Trump loses, I think he's definitely gonna run in 2024.
Yeah,
Because at that point, it depends how Biden does. But unless Biden does something magical, I don't see a reason that people wouldn't. Like, it was a really close election. It was. Like, Trump was not supposed to do that well with the virus, as bad as it is.
that's debatable.
I mean, he's not supposed to do that well.
It's debatable.
Of
It
course it
really
is.
is. It
Yeah,
really
no.
is debatable.
But yeah, some say without the virus, he would have easily
Yeah, I think
won.
I think Trump definitely exceeded expectations. We
Oh,
could say that.
yeah, for sure. Like I
He
was,
he made it closer than a lot of people thought it would be, but whether or not he was at a disadvantage inherently is a whole other story.
yeah. I think the virus really put just a kick in it.
It did.
Yeah.
It was like a
It was like a Democrat backhand, like bam, get
yeah.
out.
It was election on steroids.
Yeah.
Mail-in voting. Um,
Oh my God, yeah, Trump, dude. Like I could just imagine him flipping out, just like, bro, I want all the lawsuits. I want them ready. 4 more days. Let's see what happens.
yeah,
Probably nothing, but I don't know. Something would
yeah,
be fun. Like
yeah. And Trump,
we really need something special to end out 2020. I think if they did a switcheroo, that would be real
how
cool.
about how about aliens? Did you see that?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, Israel chief of some somewhere.
Former military intelligence chief.
Wow, Galactic Federation. I don't know about you, sounds a little Rick and Morty to me. Galactic Federation, what we're going to be able to travel through dimensions next.
Yeah,
Who gave this guy like a meeting? Like, what newspaper article said, "No, we're going to print that." Yeah, Galactic Federation. Like, put that in
I
the
don't know.
quotes.
He sounds a little bit deranged, but he's highly experienced.
Uh yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a conundrum.
it's a good thing we have Space Force on the way. I mean, what
Yeah,
Space Force 1? Yeah, thank God. Whew. Trump's looking out. He's like, "Oh, space, don't worry, we're already there."
yeah, yeah. America has tried to assert its leadership in the space race because they are the leaders in the space race, and it's the next frontier.
Wait,
Where we have
what
the West.
what happens when we get to Mars? Does that just become an extension of America? Because I very much think America will be Mars will be colonized by like SpaceX,
Yeah,
Virgin Galactic, Blue Moon. Are they gonna allow other countries to come there, or are they just gonna put the American flag down and say, "Bitch, it's ours"?
I'm sure the Americans are very eager to conquer a a new world and enslave the indigenous people and claim
Dude,
all of our
they,
diseases.
they
And
would they would take over. A new country would try to come. They're like, no, no, no. It's America. That's it. It's just America now.
right, yeah.
Do you think that could
What year do you think you'll be able to drive a Tesla on Mars
drive
and
a
burn no
Tesla
flag?
on Mars? Okay, drive a Tesla on Mars. I think that's like 2070. I think for sure. That'd be so cool if we're that'd be crazy. 2070, you just wake up. You wake up on Mars because you know you're naturally living there now because America on Earth has turned into a shithole. We have to start over. Wow. It's gonna be crazy. We're just gonna start planet hopping.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Mars is it's really the new frontier. It's the inhabitants of the world have always had their eyes on like, the next big thing. And I
Yeah.
think that's Mars right now.
Everyone was like 2020, we need a way out. Elon, what you got in store?
Yeah.
He said he plans to put a man on Mars by 2024. That's a little ambitious, but
Wow.
I don't know.
It's right around the corner.
That is really, really close. It's really
Crazy.
soon.
Crazy. Imagine him staging it like the original moon landing.
You know that would be crazy. You know they taped over the original moon landing. They erased the tape.
Did they?
Yeah. How? How do you
I don't.
erase that tape?
I don't really believe in these conspiracy theories. Um,
Oh no, no. Hold on, hold on. No, I heard that they recorded over it.
oh, I don't know. I just believe what I'm told, like a good American.
Ah, good job, Alex. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, NASA said that the original moon landing tapes were erased and reused.
Really?
Yeah. Imagine. You like the biggest step for mankind and the world's just like nah,
Man,
erase. We're like, we've seen this episode before. We're good.
right. I don't know. I'm at a loss.
This is a funny place to be, man.
Yeah.
It's like the end of World War II, like 1946. You're like, now what?
Right. But keep in mind that, the period from 1945 to 1970 was a very
It was great.
prosperous,
Yeah.
peaceful, productive time.
Yeah,
Really.
but I don't think this was as deadly enough to make it that prosperous and peaceful.
I think I think you're right.
Yeah,
Um,
it wasn't that large a scale. Like we only had 1 million deaths. That's it. Like worldwide, that's not large enough for there to be like some serious action. The world will shrug that off. They'll be like, eh. Like they'll just
yeah.
nothing new. Like we had some
Yeah, the 1
innovation.
million's for sure an undercount.
Yeah, it's not going to count for shit.
It's for sure an undercount. You're right. Plus,
Yeah,
the world's just fundamentally different on so many levels.
yeah,
So you can't really compare. But there is hope. There has to be hope. You know, and there deserves to be hope. I believe there's a lot to look forward to. You know,
yeah.
America America's been challenged many times in its history, and it's really never really failed before.
I
And
know that.
it's not
Imagine.
invincible. It's not invincible. But if our leaders do their jobs and
Well,
our
what
courts,
you're asking a lot.
I am asking for a lot. But if the integrity of this country is preserved, we are de facto invisible. invincible.
I think we are, if all that's true, but our leaders
If
do their jobs. That's a tough one. That's a
it's
tough
not
one.
not happening right now. Not
Yeah,
happening right now.
no. Or anytime soon. I heard of something interesting. It's like it was, I forgot where it came from, but it was just a thought that the government shouldn't control the amount of money being put into the economy. It's like they don't control any other goods. Why would they control how we interact on a
Yeah,
so
monetary policy.
yeah, I know
Yeah,
nothing about. I don't understand how. I mean, it would kind of just turn into a barter system where the free
right.
market determines the value of the dollar. I mean, they do anyway. Free market determines what the value of the dollar is. It's not really the
Yeah,
government unless they pump money into the economy.
right. Yeah, the Fed is supposed to you know, protect the value of the US dollar, you
Yeah.
know, make it like relatively stable, and also to control unemployment. I mean inflation, excuse me. Inflation.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, they have a an important role, but it's also a very you know, it's very defined and you know, and just it's a specific role. Um, they don't really you know, have much of an impact on you know, commerce or you know, free market activity, but they
Yeah.
control you know, money supply.
Yeah, they're the oddball. All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna end the recording, but one sec.